Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Lumafusion 101, part 2. Now, if you haven't checked out part 1 yet, go ahead and watch that now because you're going to get some of the basics of what we're doing. And I don't want to have to feel like I needed to repeat something because I may have missed something that I said in the first one. So just go check that out. It'll take a second. Come back and watch this. But I will go ahead and just give a quick refresher that Lumafusion is my go-to editing software. It's what I do when I'm making videos for my church or for YouTube because it's fast, it's powerful, it's mobile, and it's really not a bank breaker. It's not expensive at all. It's the probably best bang for your buck editing software out there. So at the end of part 1, we created a short little clip of a sad man with some sad music. So we're going to go ahead and build on that here. And I'm going to teach you guys how to use overlays because that's the best kind of, if you want to do visual effects, it's really the only thing you're going to be able to use inside of Lumafusion is an overlay. So we're going to work on one of those. And yeah, and that'll be pretty much it. We're just going to create a quick story. So let's go ahead and jump into Lumafusion and let's get started. Alright guys, so here we are back into Lumafusion. As you see, we have our project from the last time still up there. So let's go ahead and click on it and bring it up and you can actually watch the project go through. Now this is not our timeline as you see down here, it's just a preview of the project. Just a way to make sure you are on the actual project you want, which we are. Now, I want to keep these separate because I want you to be able to go back and practice. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and duplicate this clip. And to do that, we're going to come down here, like I said on the last video, we're going to click this double page with a plus sign in the middle, and that just created a duplicate of our project. So if I scroll up, you see Lumafusion Part 1 and Lumafusion Part 1, 2. So I don't want them necessarily to be labeled like that because that gives you a chance of messing up. So we're going to go ahead and just click or touch on the Lumafusion Part 1, click and touch in here, and we're going to change the name to Lumafusion 101 Part 2. Alright, so once we've done that, let's go ahead and double click or double tap on our project, and we are back inside our timeline. As you see, we have our guy, we have our music. Let's go ahead and listen to it and make sure. Yeah, we have pretty much exactly what we left with at the end of the last video. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring it back to the beginning. Remember, you just scroll, move your finger back and forth, or if you're on a computer, click on a gray space and slide back and forth, and that's how you move your timeline along. If you are doing it on a computer, there are keyboard shortcuts, and you might catch me using them throughout this video, but I'm going to teach you the other ways too, so just keep in mind, if I accidentally do a keyboard shortcut, it literally is just muscle memory at this point. Okay, so we have our story kind of laid out, but we know the guy is sad. We don't know why he's sad. We need to tell people why he's sad. Remember, there are parts to a story, and one of those parts is first you create a scene, and then you want to create a conflict in the scene. And this scene kind of has a little bit of a conflict of he is definitely stressing out. So we need to figure out what his conflict is. And as I look at this, I see a man in a nice office chair. You can tell over here on the left side, there's a little bit of a desk there. And this background seems to be big open windows that look out over from a high rise. So chances are this is a guy inside of an office. And what, when you work in an office, stresses you out more than anything? Money. All right. So remember in the last video, let's go back into our Storyblocks here. And you'll remember, as we were looking through, what one of the free Storyblocks clips we found was a stack of money that was just falling from the sky. So let's go back into our footage, and it should be actually right next to or right above the sad gentleman. Up there it is right there. You see we have our money, and we have our money falling. All right, so I think this is good. If a good reference as to why someone would be so sad in an office. So remember how to put the footage in? We're just going to go ahead. Now, if you're adding onto the top of the timeline, you remember I said there are 3 ways to put the footage in, and one of them is to hit this button here. But let me show you what happens. I'm going to move my playhead to the middle. I'm going to click back on our money clip, and then I'm going to hit this button. And do you see what it did? it actually made a cut in our original clip and dropped our new clip right in the middle there. So if you hit this, it's going to drop it on your main track wherever your timeline is. And we don't want this on the main track. You can't do an overlay on the main track. It has to be on top. So right next to that button, you see these two arrows? They're going to be on every screen. These are your undo and redo buttons. If you make a mistake, these are going to fix it. Now, I will say that Lumafusion saves as you go. So that means if you make a mistake and you close this out, this button is not going to go back and undo anything once you reopen the software. So just keep that in mind, that mistakes, you can go all the way back to the open. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to do the other way. We're going to hold our finger on here and we're just going to drag that down and we're going to lay it on top of our main timeline, on top of our main footage, and then we're going to play it. Okay, so as you see, we have our music. It stayed. But what happened here? Where did the picture go? Well, like I said, this in the middle is what's called a playhead, this blue line. The playhead is what is on your, it's showing you what is on your timeline. But the playhead is looking from the top down. So say this is our timeline. So you have the clip we just put on, our video and our music. The playhead is actually looking through here. So it sees this top one and it can't see through to the others. So what we need to do is we need to figure out a way to look through that. Now there are a few ways to do that in Lumafusion, and we're going to go through some of those. So what we need to do is we need to open this clip with the money on it to edit it. And remember, you come over here to your sprocket, hold your finger on it, and it'll tell you everything you want to do. But look right here in the center where it says edit clip, right here on this pencil, that's what we're going to click on. All right, so now we are in our editing screen. You can open this for any clip, audio or video, and it's going to automatically, the first time you open it, it's going to come to your color and effects panel. This is where you can add all of your LUTs and change your colors, change everything you want to do. We're going to go ahead, we're going to throw the warm-up preset on there because, I mean, none of the LUTs really work. And I don't really want to get into color grading right now. So let's just go ahead and we're going to stick with that preset because I think that brightens up the money a little bit. And really, this isn't where we want to be. We want to come over here all the way to the left. Now you look on the bottom here, you see your three panels that you have for a video clip. You have your color and effects. You have your, what is this, speed and timing, I want to say. We'll find out the name. Let's click on it and find out the name. Speed and reverse. There we go. And then all the way on the left, you have frame and fit. Frame and fit is where you're going to do a large amount of your editing work. Now, if this clip had audio on it, it would also have an audio tab to go to, but since this doesn't, it doesn't have one there. Now, remember what I said. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to look through from the top down to the next one. And the easiest way to do that is you go into blending, and right here, your opacity. The opacity is the transparency of the clip. So if you bring that down, now you're seeing what's going on behind it. And as you see, I'm over here, this white bar, you'll see me move that around a lot. That helps me preview the clip. Now, the reason I don't use the opacity is, yes, it pulled a lot of that color out, or allows you to see through, but what it's doing is it's actually pulling all of the color out, and we don't want all of the color out. Because if you look at it, the money we want to stay. We want that warmer color on the money. We want that brighter light we put in there. What we don't want is this black. So right underneath the opacity slider, inside of blending, you have your blend mode. And you have your three lines over here. Go ahead and click on those, and it opens up your blend mode list. Now the blend mode is basically this. It messes and blends and changes the opacity of the colors, each one doing a separate thing. Now, I could spend a lot of time going over each one of these, explaining how it works and why it works, but really, I feel like that would be a waste of your time at this stage. So definitely play with it and see the different ways it does it. It's going to take a little while to get used to it and know which one to do. So I'm going to give you a hint, and we're going to come down here and we're just going to hit screen. Now, you see what happened is screen took out all of that black, but it left the green of the money. Now there's another one. Let's go look, and if you wanted to do another one which is difference, it see how it changes drastically on what it does. Divide, it just makes this money a different color. It makes it almost like a negative. You can come down to silhouette alpha, but that's a harder one to, or silhouette luma. Yeah. You see, as you get through these, you see it does different, each one does different things, but really the one that works best for overlays, and you would think would be overlay, but that doesn't, that adjusts the color too much. You really just want to stick with screen. As soon as I remember where it is, there we go. So screen keeps this green and this light in here, but it also just, it eliminates the black. So it doesn't darken our scene, and it kind of, the money kind of helps a little bit. Okay, so now we have our money falling, and this kind of gives an idea of why this guy is a little upset. Now, what I don't like about this is the money seems to be only in the center of the clip, and we don't want that. We want it to be everywhere. We want it to be like this guy's mind is completely on this money he's losing that's just falling away. So what we're going to do is, while we're still in here, we're going to go up to size and position, and you want to just bring your size up to like around 105. I think that's a good 104, 105. That's a pretty good size for this. And let's go ahead and hit play and let it run through. Yeah, that works. Now you see the money is like kind of falling, and it's covering the whole screen. So it's kind of about what he's thinking about. So let's go back to our timeline, and to do that, up here in this left corner, you have this back arrow. Go ahead and click that guy. And there you are back on your timeline, and we're zoomed in a little far. So remember, you just pinch and you can zoom your timeline back out. And you see the problem we have here now. So we have a 21-second clip of money over a 24-second clip of the man and 24-second clip of music. Now there's a couple of ways we can handle this. We can, if you highlight it, you see you have your little arrow here. That'll let you pull it, and I have snapping turned on, so it will just stop at the next... I'm sorry, snapping is always on Lumafusion, and it will just stop at the end of the next clip. We could do that. We could move our playhead directly to the end of the clip, hit our scissors, and cut all the way through, and then just delete the rest of these two. But I want to do this a different way, because the other thing I didn't like is how fast that money was falling. So we're going to go back into edit our clip, and now we're going to go to speed and reverse. Okay, so remember when we brought these clips in, or when we started our project completely, remember I said that I knew I wanted it to be 23.98 frames per second, but I didn't, because I didn't know how fast the footage was going to be. And the reason that was important is because I knew I was going to slow this down. That's what we're coming in here to do, is we're going to bring the speed down. Now, the way an editing software slows a video down is it actually adds clips in there. So every few frames, depending on it's depending on how much you want to slow it down. So if you're going to slow it down, let's say 25%, then every 4 frames it's going to add a frame, and that's going to add just 1/4 of a second more. And so over the course of the entire thing, it slows it down a quarter more. The problem is if this was shot at, and it looks like, according down here on the timeline, it says it was shot at 29.97 frames per second. So if I was running this as a 30-second clip, there wouldn't be any extra footage to throw in there. So it would have to duplicate either the clip before or the clip after, or the frame before or the frame after, to expand it. And that's how you get that jittery slow-mo. Now, if you have extra frames because you have a piece of footage filmed at 30 frames per second, but you're only playing it at 24, that means every second you have 6 extra frames to play with. So you can bring it down up to 20%, which is what this line right here represents. Lumafusion does all of that math for you and tells you exactly how much extra footage you have that you can use and get a smooth slow-mo. So now we're going to try to get it to stop on that line. There we go. Now let's bring it back to the beginning, slide our white bar over, and hit play. There we go. Now we have our money falling off, and it's looking pretty good. It doesn't look quite dreamy enough for me, so I'm going to come back into frame and fit, and this will be really the last thing we're going to do. And we're going to come up here to our cropping window, or our cropping list, and we're going to hit our down arrow and bring down our drop box. And you see this cropping, this controls how much of the other frame or the other piece shows up on there. So if it were going to be, you know, I was trying to put a box, say I wanted to put my face in here, and I could just crop it, set it down there, and go. And it would be fully cropped, and it would stay in frame, and everything would be pretty and fun and wonderful. But that's not what we're trying to do here. We're not really worried about... we are going to bring the edge cropping to the edge of the frame. But that's just to make what I'm about to do look a little smoother. And then underneath all of the edges, you have edge softness. So this kind of lightens up those edges a little bit. And we're going to bring our radius down, make it a little more curvy. And now watch as we come back out and we play through our clip. Now it looks a little more like a dream, right? A little more like something he's thinking about, because the edges are softer. It seems to fade away as opposed to just drop off the frame. And that's kind of the look I wanted to go for. But here comes our next problem. Everything else stopped, but the money's still going. Well, remember what I said? You can actually just bring that edge back in, and that should have fixed that problem. Not exactly. We're still a little bit long. There we go. Okay, so now everything is fading out together. I am going to soften this edge up just a bit more, because I do want it to be just a little bit more like fading away as it falls off. Because it is still falling out just a bit. So a little bit more. There we go. Now it looks like it's only in the center that is really dark and really powerful. And then on the edges, it's very light. All right, folks, that's it. We've done our first overlay. Congratulations. You've added an effect to your video. And that's all we're going to do today. I'm trying to keep these under 20 minutes, and we're right at about 15 to 17. I'm not sure exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. If you are learning something, go ahead and hit that like button and let me know. If there's anything else you want to learn, put it in the comments, because as I'm building this channel, I do want to put in the things you want to see. If you do want to see more things coming through, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And yeah, and so part 3 is coming. I'm about to record that. It's going to be doing titles and transitions. So these are going to be things you use on a regular basis, and so I wanted them to have their own video. So stick around. Titles and transitions is coming up next.